Politicians in Taiwan say they feel threatened by China's plan to boost defense spending by up to 13%. Beijing emphasizes it's not a threat to anyone, but islanders on Taiwan are calling on the US to sell more weapons. Japan and the Philippines are among other countries alarmed at Chinese warships near their coasts.
Since the NPC session has not yet formally opened, if it's approved by the upcoming session, the defense budget for the year 2011 will be around 601.1 billion yuan.
Well, China's military plans must be rubber-stamped first by the annual National People's Congress, which starts on Saturday. China's leaders will also announce other spending plans for the next 5 years. Our Beijing correspondent Melissa Chan reports.
It's one of the few times of the year when China's leaders make major announcements. The National People's Congress, ostensibly the country's legislative body, but with much of the decision-making made well beforehand. This year, the government's preoccupation will be the economy. Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao has said he would like to see China limit its annual GDP growth to 7%. Given the soaring real estate prices, the government has promised 36 million affordable homes to be built over the next 5 years. Personal income tax will also see a change, with the premier promising it will benefit medium and low-income brackets. It's clear the government is concerned not just with China's growing economy, but with how the money is distributed.
It's a shift from a focus on quantity to quality. And then whether that has to do with the environment or geographic distribution of development or income distribution among classes.
Inflation is the other big problem here, particularly with food prices, giving people a reason to grumble about the government every day.
It would use all the mechanisms at its disposal, interest rates, reserve requirements, even the exchange rate to fight inflation.
So on Saturday, when Premier Wen Jiabao takes the podium, it will be to assure the public the government has this under control.
This year, the word to watch for will be happy. Already, we're seeing it in state media, a happy China and happy Chinese. It's a government promising more than just the basics to the people, more than prosperity, but also well-being. Melissa Chan, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
You're watching Al Jazeera. A quick reminder of the main stories here on the News Hour. Latest reports from Libya say there's been a new airstrike near a base held by opposition fighters. Witnesses say a bomb was dropped near the eastern town of AlJazeera. A sandstorm is making more airstrikes unlikely. The humanitarian crisis caused by the conflict is worsening. 180,000 people have fled the country and thousands more, especially from the Indian subcontinent, are still waiting to leave. Protests are continuing throughout the Arab world. Thousands of Egyptians are gathering in Cairo's Tahrir Square, calling for constitutional change. The country's new Prime Minister, Issam Sharaf, is expected to address the crowds soon. And in Tunisia, where an uprising led the ousting of the president in January, the caretaker Prime Minister has been giving his first speech.
I believe that the new Tunisian government, which is God's willing, will be formed in 2 days' time with the approval of the president of the state. It will be a government that considered its role to bear the responsibility of that heavy burden, but willingly, in order to work together for the sake of the country and its progress day after day.
Returning to Libya, and Al Jazeera has a dedicated website for receiving video from those close to the action. This next report by Tariq Baisley uses some of that video that shows oil facilities burning in the east of the country.
A Zuatina oil facility 130 kilometers south of Benghazi on fire after fighting. This video sent directly to Al Jazeera was shot on Thursday. The port is a vital piece of the country's oil infrastructure. It's now under the control of government forces after they apparently tricked guards into letting them into the facility.
We came to the gate of the facility. We told them we were pro-Gaddafi. They invited us in, and then after we sat with them, we mugged them. We used our knives and managed to capture these weapons. They're not Libyans. Some of them are from Chad. All of them are from outside Libya. We've seen their IDs. They're not Libyan.
In nearby Brega, another key oil export terminal, fighting has continued in and around the facility. This vehicle reportedly used by mercenaries guarding the gates to the terminal. There are reports that many of the wounded and killed have been hit with high-caliber anti-aircraft ammunition.
The number of the people that are killed were more than the number of the guys that reached the hospital injured, and this do not happen. Usually have the number of the guys injured is much more than the guys killed.
There are estimates 80% of Libya's oil fields are now under the control of anti-government forces. They risk their lives to take them and say they would do so again to bring down the government and secure the nation's future. Tarek Bazley, Al Jazeera.
Cote d'Ivoire's UN representative says the world body must be as strong on the shooting of 6 women in his country as on the crisis in Libya. Witnesses say security forces loyal to President Laurent Gbagbo gunned the woman down in a northern district of Abidjan on Thursday during a rally in support of Alassane Ouattara. Cote d'Ivoire's UN representative, who was appointed by Ouattara, says the world body must be as tough on what he called an atrocity. German security officials say a man accused of killing 2 US airmen on Wednesday has confessed to targeting Americans. But they say he doesn't appear to be a member of an organized group. The 2 men were killed and another 2 wounded when the gunman opened fire at Frankfurt Airport on a bus carrying US servicemen. A 21-year-old suspect identified as an ethnic Albanian man from Kosovo is being held in a German prison. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the OSCE, has condemned Turkey for arresting 6 journalists over a suspected plot to overthrow the government. The arrests follow a 3-year investigation into an ultra-nationalist group. The OSCE says Turkish authorities are intimidating the journalists and wants their immediate release. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has defended Bradley Manning, the soldier accused of leaking thousands of classified US government documents. Assange says the US is using Manning as an example. Assange, who's appealing his extradition from Britain to Sweden over sex crime accusations, also denied the WikiLeaks website is anti-American. The US president says his country must increase efforts to stop guns and money being sold into Mexico. Barack Obama made the comments after meeting his Mexican counterpart Felipe Calderon in Washington. Tensions have increased after a US immigration agent was shot dead in northern Mexico by a weapon smuggled from the US. Kimberly Halkett has more.
You can count on us.
It was a warm welcome for Mexican President Calderon at the White House, but behind the public smiles and handshakes, a strained relationship between the 2 countries remains. The reason, the escalating violence in Mexico's drug war. Calderon criticized the United States for not doing enough to help his country fight organized crime groups responsible for the violence. He blames the U.S. for turning a blind eye to weapons seeping south across its border and not doing enough to stop U.S. demand for illegal drugs.
Thousands of military officers and police have fallen in the line of duty in Mexico. To these deaths, we add the death of Jaime Zapata.
Jaime Zapata is the U.S. immigration agent killed reportedly with a gun purchased in the United States. The White House wants the alleged killer tried in the U.S. Appearing on Capitol Hill, the Homeland Security Secretary reassured lawmakers that would be the case.
Is it the administration's position that we will be seeking extradition into the United States? That's very good news.
Mexico wants assurances the